भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter number 27, Understanding Material Nature, verse number 11. Muktalingam sadabhasam asati pratipadyate sato bandhum chakshus sato bandhum asachakshus sarvan syutam advayam muktalingam sadabhasam asati pratipadyate sato bandhum asachyakshu sarvan syutam advayam muktalingam sadabhasam asati pratipadyate sato bandhum asachyakshu sarvan syutam advayam. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Muktalingam, transcendental. Satabhasam, manifest as a reflection. Asati, in the false ego. Pratipadyate, he realizes. Satah bandhum, the support of the material cause. Asat chakshu, the eye, revealer of the illusory energy. Sarva anusyutam, entered into everything. Advayam, without a second. A liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead, who is transcendental and who is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of the material cause and he enters into everything. He is absolute, he is absolute, one without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusory energy. Purport. A pure devotee can see the presence of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything materially manifested. He is present there only as a reflection, but a pure devotee can realize that in the darkness of material illusion, the only light is the Supreme Lord, who is its support. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the background of the material manifestation is Lord Krishna. And as confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord, by his partial or plenary expansion, is present not only within this universe and each and every universe, but in every atom, although he is one without a second. The word Advayam, without a second, which is used in this verse, indicates that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is represented in everything, including the atoms, he is not divided. His presence is in everything is explained in the next verse. We'll do the Mangalachana. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapadakamlam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam tam sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण. First of all, my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. I seek your blessing so that I can say something which adds value to this hour. Also, seek blessing of His Grace Madhupati Prabhu for engaging me in this seva, which purifies my heart, which engages me in some Shastra study. Now, we are reading the discussion between Lord Kapila and his mother, Mother Devahati. And here in this particular verse, Lord Kapila is describing the Vasudeva state of consciousness, which was mentioned in uh, the previous chapter, verse number 21 and 22 of 26th chapter. There, verse number 21 primarily says that the mode of goodness, which is the clear, sober status of understanding the personality of Godhead, and which is generally called Vasudeva or consciousness, becomes manifest in Mahatattva. So, this is before uh, the three modes of material nature are actually born in the process of creation. And there is, complete serenity, clarity, freedom from distraction. These are the states of pure consciousness. And because in this state of pure consciousness, one can realize, one can perceive, one can understand the presence of Lord. That's why, or the presence of Vasudeva. That's why that state of mind is also called Vasudeva consciousness. Now, a pure devotee, when he is in that consciousness, or the two are synonyms, a pure devotee means the devotee whose consciousness is uh, in the Vasudeva state. You can see the presence of Supreme Lord in everything materially manifest. So, in this particular chapter, chapter number 27, there are four primary divisions. First is that uh, Sankhya philosophy was explained in the last chapter 26 by Lord Kapila, and he, in the first part of this particular chapter, he is giving practices which has to be followed, um, practical tips. And in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada is translating how those practices can be followed or performed in Bhakti Yoga. So, for example, one of the practices Lord Kapila is saying, which is recommended for Sankhya Yoga, is that one should remain in secluded place. Now, if we are by nature, human is a social no, is meant for living in a society, in a social circumstances. So it is very difficult uh, to stay in a secluded place just on their own. There are many great souls, sages, uh, even demons who have performed severe austerities in very secluded places in a very severe conditions. We know the examples of devotees like Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. You know. But we also, uh, but it's very difficult in our current society. So, Srila Prabhupada translates that and then gives in purport that living in secluded place, a lonely place, a lone place, is very similar to living in a congregation where devotees are there, the same practitioners are there. Then we are, uh, so for example, somebody can choose to live in a place of dham. Somebody can choose to stay in a congregation where there are other devotees, and by the presence of the other devotees and by their inspiration, by their guidance, one's bhakti process or the sadhana is protected. Similarly, another practice recommended by Lord Kapila is in the in the previous verses of this chapter is observing mauna, observing silence. Now, Srila Prabhupada is translating that too. That by observing silence means that not speaking unnecessary things, not speaking garbage, not doing prajalpa. We are, uh, by the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are empowered, and those who are in the ISKCON or in the Gaudiya Sampradaya are actually ordered to speak whenever and wherever possible about Krishna. Jade dekho, tade kaho, Krishna Upadesh. So similarly, no, we all need to be, similarly, there is another another practice which is given is abstinent from the sex life. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport that one should, best policy is that one should abstain from engaging in the sexual life, but at the same time, uh, if our Vedic culture allows one to be married and then uh, enjoy or engage in the sex life for the procreation of the next generation, in the bring in more devoted souls to this world. So that's actually uh, a translation or um, something which is um, allowed or given. So and if somebody is living with their spouse and better half, that's actually considered, even as per Vedas, as good as following the brahmacharya ashram. So that's what happens in the first verse number 1 to 9, and then after 10 to 16 there is a explanation of the Vasudeva state of the mind and how the devotees who are in the um, in the clear consciousness or pure consciousness can experience the presence of Lord in everything. Now let's look at few examples of that. So one example is that on my screen I'm sharing this wonderful uh, rose flower drawing. It's nicely outlined and then colored. There is a red color for the petals and then green color for the stem and leaves. And just by looking at this, can I say, and this is a question, can one of you say, if I tell you that this particular flower, there was a paper, a pencil, few colors, and it accidentally appeared, magically appeared. What will you think about, if I say that? If I say that, oh, there was a paper, and then on that paper, the ink fell. There's some red ink and then some green color ink, and also there's a pencil, and all three fell, and then magically this appeared. This wonderful flower appeared. You say that, oh, you're crazy? What are you talking about? This cannot happen accidentally. Somebody created it very nicely, meticulously, paying close attention to what an actual rose looks like, what are its, how it's, there's aestheticness to this, and there's beautiful colors, and it's wonderfully done. So this means that the presence of this drawing means that there is a creator for this. But if this actual picture, for the lack of, me having a rose right now, presenting, but the scientific community, uh, learneds, and the intelligentsia, what they say is that the picture on the right, which is an actual rose flower, that magically appeared by the by some selection process of survival of the fittest, and there is no creator here. Isn't that foolishness then? How can something so perfect appear without a creator? There has to be a creator. And just like this particular verse is saying that a devotee in the pure consciousness can perceive, can understand the presence of the Lord and in each and everything. So just by this person will know, by looking at a rose flower, that there is a creator for this rose flower who is far, far, far intelligent. Is so intelligent that has created this self-sustaining world. Now think about this, that the byproduct for humans and animals when they breathe is carbon dioxide. We breathe out carbon dioxide, we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. At the same time, there are plants who also breathe, and their byproduct is oxygen. So all these plants, they take observed carbon dioxide from the environment, that's the breathing in. They observe the sunlight, and through some chemical reaction, in the form caused because of the presence of chlorophyll in their leaves, they are able to convert these two into food for them, and in that process release oxygen. Not only that, the energy which is converted is something which can be consumed by humans. It's sugar. That's the building block. And this whole thing, so by that, the byproduct of one is the uh, necessity for the other, and the necessity for the other is the byproduct of one. So it's a wonderful cycle which is created. Now, this whole system, we say that, oh, there is this particular machine created, or this particular phone which is here created, and if I say that this is accidentally created, I am called crazy. But this wonderful environment which is created is, there's no creator for it. So many examples we can see. We hear some nice music and we say, oh, we admire. Okay, who is this person? The governments award different kind of medals and different awards to these wonderful musicians for their contribution in the field of creativity, in the field of art, because they created this wonderful music which we can hear, and that's soothing. If we go to a natural place, there are birds chirping, there is water flowing, there's waterfall, and that sound is soothing. And we say that that music which is created is accidental. That's not right. Yeah. So similarly, a devotee who is a person who is in the pure consciousness can perceive the presence of the Lord. Now, the second point which Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport is that Advayam and Purnam. Now, if we see, and this Supreme Personality of Godhead, he enters into uh, each universe, not only each universe, but each atom inside that universe, and is running that. How do we understand it? So think of that we have a cookie. Now, if we divide this cookie into two parts, there are two cookies. But the potency of the cookie, or the amount of these two cookies, is now half, because a full is divided in two parts. But this is something which is at the material platform. On the spiritual platform, as the this verse, which says Vedas word, that Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Purnamada, that Supreme Lord is complete, and Purnamidam, and this world which is coming from him is also complete. And Purnat Purnam Udachyate. When something is coming from complete, it is complete. And even though Purnasya Purnamadaya, even though from the complete we are extracting the complete, Purnameva Avashishyate. Complete itself is left. Those few who have studied mathematics in high school, there is a term called infinity. Infinity is something which is a very, very large number. It's considered as infinity. Now, there are few properties of infinity which are described in mathematics. And using that, we can understand this particular verse. This verse always reminds me of those infinity in its property. One of the properties of infinity is that if you extract anything from the infinity itself remains. So infinity minus infinity is also infinity. And similarly, if you add something to the infinity, then also infinity is the one which remains. By practical example, also we can understand, we see that there is this vast ocean. If you take out few buckets of water from the ocean, or if you add few buckets of water into the ocean, it's not going to make a difference. In fact, in the time of summer, there is a lot of water which gets evaporated from the ocean, which ultimately results into the formation of clouds and then rain. But that doesn't mean that we go into the summer and we see that, oh, the ocean's water has reduced, and then in the rainy season we go and see that, oh, the ocean's water has increased. No. In fact, this is one of the examples which is given, Apurnya Malam Achalam Pradeshnam, that a devotee should be like an ocean where the senses are like pouring rivers water into the one, but just like ocean is still undisturbed, we should be undisturbed by the demands of the senses. And then towards the end of this, in the practical examples, and later on Mother Devahuti will ask that how can one, her specific question is that how can we realize the Supreme Personality of God? She is asking that, my dear Brahman, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul, since one is attracted to other eternally? And there's a very, very practical answer which I really like Lord Kapila gives, is that one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me. So one can get the liberation by seriously discharging devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And thereby, and because of that, hearing for a long time about me or from me. And thereby, hearing for a long time. So, thereby means a result of, because of that, or the result of that is. So, this opportunity we get about reading about the Supreme Lord or hearing about the Supreme Lord is something which is the result of discharging of the devotional service. And we have to continuously doing it for a long time before we can get liberation. So that's something which is I wanted to point out and discuss. I think it's time. We can take a pause here. Any comments, questions, corrections, we can take up in the Bhagavats here again. Over to you, Madhukari.
Thank you very much, Akhilesh Krishna. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead, and we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Sino Singo Jaino Singo Jai Jaino Singo Skaladesh Jaya Padmamuta Padmalingam Ugra Veda Mahavishnu Jalasam Vatam Nasingam Vishanam Bhadram Nityam Nityanamiham Nasing Bhagwan Ki Jai Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindu vayavaccha Patitanam Pavane Bhaya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bol.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.